It says preparing, so it's not yet, I don't think. Just wait a minute or two. Okay, we're live. Let's see. So I guess we'll just get started with introductions. Welcome to the Link Crew Q&A live stream. My name is JJ. I'm a senior, and I'm a fun fact about me is that I like to dance.
Hi guys, I'm Dia. I'm also a senior, and a fun fact about me is that I have 3 pets.
Hi guys, I'm Asia. I'm a senior as well, and a fun fact about me is that my favorite snack is goldfish.
Hi, my name is Jackie. I'm a sophomore, and a fun fact about myself is that I can type really fast.
Hey guys, my name is Ashika. I'm a senior, and a fun fact about me is that my favorite candy is Swedish Fish.
Hey guys, I'm Malia and I'm a senior, and my fun fact is that my favorite food is tacos.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm a junior, and one fun fact about me is that I'm allergic to mangoes.
Hi everyone, my name is Noah and I'm a junior, and one fun fact about me is that I like to work out in my free time.
Hi everyone, my name is Samya and I'm a senior as well, and a fun fact about me is I like to play basketball.
Hi guys, my name's Alicia. I'm a junior, and a fun fact about me is I can cook some really great instant ramen.
Okay, awesome. Then I guess since everyone's introduced, we'll just get started into our questions. So our first subject topic is going to be mission life and culture. So the first question is, how can I talk to upperclassmen? Dia, do you want to start?
Yeah, okay. I think a really good way to talk to upperclassmen is by connecting through clubs and organizations like Peer Resource. A lot of us are sophomores and juniors, as you heard earlier, and we are seniors, and we all talk, and we all are able to ask advice to one another. I know some of us have asked me questions from teachers, classes, and things like that. So I think clubs is a really good way. I know when I was a freshman or even just an underclassman, I had some questions. And even if I didn't know some seniors or upperclassmen, I'd still text them on Messenger and things like that and just ask a question. And nobody's going to say anything about it. Nobody's going to judge you for asking a question. Everybody wants to help one another.
Oh my god, okay. Adding on to that, I feel like Dia covered a lot of it, but I feel like there's a huge stigma that all upperclassmen don't want to talk to anybody, especially underclassmen. And I feel like, I don't know, especially being part of Link and being part of Peer, that is not the case. So if you ever have a question, just don't be afraid to reach out. I feel like that's the number one thing that I wish I would have done, because in reality, upperclassmen aren't bad, and you should use them as a resource because they've been there, they've done that, and we're really here to help you.
Next is Jackie.
Yeah, I think coming from an underclassman perspective, I think the upperclassmen at Mission especially are all very nice and friendly. So I think that a good way to talk to them, like everyone else said, is just through organizations such as Peer Resource or different clubs. Just find upperclassmen that have things in common with you, and it'll be really easy to reach out to them and just start conversations.
And next we have Rishika.
Yeah, so I agree with what everyone already said, because I feel like the main way to talk to upperclassmen, just approach them. If this was in person, I feel like if you saw someone walking by, just say hi. We're not scary, we're not going to bite you. But now I feel like the best way to approach upperclassmen would obviously be social media. I think everyone's pretty much on Facebook. So if you have a question, you can just message upperclassmen on there, and we'll always be ready to help.
And next we have Malia.
Yeah, I agree with everyone that trying to join organizations and clubs on campus is the best way to reach upperclassmen, and also just don't be scared. Upperclassmen want to talk to you guys too, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because I feel like upperclassmen are the best resource if you have any concerns or questions. So just don't be scared and just try to reach out.
Okay, Emily.
Yeah, I feel like definitely the best way to reach out to upperclassmen is through joining clubs or like sports teams. And then, yeah, you will find that they're actually really nice and they actually, like, most of them will want to help you. Like, just text them on Facebook or Messenger, and they're probably like willing to help in most cases.
Okay, awesome. Noah.
From my past, when I was a freshman, I didn't really start talking to upperclassmen until like I joined track. And from my perspective, talking to upperclassmen is I feel like they give you a lot of tips for when you go into like junior and senior year. So definitely going like joining clubs and joining sports is a great way to talk to upperclassmen.
Samia?
I think going off of what Noah said, like joining a sports team is really, really like it really helps you bond with your upper classmates and sort of form connections with them. So I feel like for me personally, I didn't really interact with any like upperclassmen beyond basketball until like my sophomore year, but getting that comfort and interacting with them playing and stuff like that, it sort of gave me that confidence. So I would recommend like maybe joining a sports team if you're not like really um you're not confident enough maybe to go out and approach them yourselves.
And Alicia.
Yeah, so far everyone's made like really great points. And I feel like just something to add on, if you're struggling in a particular class or have any questions, a really great resource is to find upperclassmen who have had that class because they can personally tell you what the teacher's like, assignments, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And Haruka, do you want to introduce yourself and then go on to the question too?
Hey guys, I'm Haruka. I'm a senior, and a fun fact is that my favorite color is pink. And a way to just talk to upperclassmen, for me especially, was through doing sports. And it's just going up to them and talking to them. And, you know, they help you so much and they can give you so much advice.
And then I'll go. So I think for me, the real way I connected with upperclassmen was through homecoming and school events like that. Obviously, we don't have that this year, so it's more difficult, but there's still a lot of events going on online. If you see all the clubs having stuff, you can join one there. School events, just like the Among Us tournaments or just stuff like that, is a really good way to connect with people and meet someone new. And yeah, just make more friends on campus. Okay, and our next question, still under mission, life, and culture, is what is the stereotype about mission and why is it not true? So, Dia?
Yeah, okay. I think a really big stereotype that I did believe for a while too is that teachers are like unapproachable. They aren't willing to help and things like that. I know as a freshman, I probably didn't ask a teacher at all for help ever. I'd always ask my classmates and things like that. But they don't always know the answers either, unlike a teacher. I know a lot of times it can be really scary to approach a teacher, but that's going to be a really big resource for you guys. You can talk to them before school, after school, or even email them and just like set up time to talk to them, like especially during office hours. And I know right now during online school, it's a lot harder to like ask questions during your classes, but you guys should take advantage of the office hours we have and speak to your teachers then.
Yeah, and then one stereotype that I have kind of found is not true is that mission is completely academic, like 100% pulled through. All that the students do is study. That is absolutely not true. There are so many ways to get involved on campus, whether it be through on-campus events, clubs, homecoming, multicultural. Even through the pandemic and these like trying times, we're still finding ways to include all the student body in different events. And so don't think that all you can do is study all day. There's so many other ways for you to get involved on campus and make connections with the student body. And I just think there's much more to do at Mission than just studying 24/7.
Yeah, I would also have to agree with Asia on that one. I think that like the biggest stereotype I heard about Mission is that all the kids are just very hyper focused on grades and nothing else. But I feel that's very not true because there's so many students here that are really involved in like many extracurricular activities at school, such as like sports and school and like clubs and homecoming. So I feel like once you go to Mission, like you'll definitely be able to see how diverse the student body is.
Yeah, adding on to what Jackie and Asia said, that was one of the biggest stereotypes that I heard. And another one was also that Mission has a really bad sports program. And that actually stopped me from joining a sport my freshman year. But the thing is, like, that is absolutely not true because the main thing when you play a sport is to have fun. And all the sports at Mission are very fun. And once you join one, I mean, you get to know so many people, and it's actually a pretty fun thing to do.
Yeah, like I agree with what everyone has been saying. And like I think one thing I heard was that everyone at Mission is very competitive and very like in their own like personal space, and it can be hard to try to reach out about things that aren't necessarily academic based. But like I promise like we're all going through the same thing. And if you just try to reach out and talk to someone else, like you'll find your group of people and you'll find friends and people you can relate to.
I agree with everyone earlier. So I think the biggest stereotype is that like the teachers, especially AP teachers, people think that they don't teach, but that's not true because only certain teachers they assume that you know everything, and not all teachers are bad. And if you try to ask them questions, they're actually like willing to help you. So don't ever be scared to try to reach out to them. And you don't necessarily have to take like 10 APs as a junior. And yeah.
So one stereotype that I think about that I think is in Mission is that Mission is a STEM oriented school. A lot of students do choose like STEM over humanities, but that's not really true. It's not like everyone chooses STEM. So definitely just because like a bunch of students at Mission choose STEM over humanities doesn't mean you have to choose STEM. Honestly, just do what you're passionate about and something that you can enjoy.
I think one stereotype that I heard about Mission is that everybody is kind of goes off of competition, but everybody's so competitive that they like try to backstab each other in the sense that there's no community, especially in the academic sort of environment. But honestly, like immediately, like when my freshman year, I realized that the kids in my classes are so helpful and they're always trying to look out for each other, and we're always just trying to like sort of survive, so to speak. And yeah, just we're there like you just have to find your group of people and just sort of go off of that. Mission's hard, but we're all in this together.
So I think another stereotype that I kind of hear of is that like Mission is just extremely stressful. But I heard, I forgot who, but someone told me this once that Mission is kind of as stressful as you make it to be. Like at the end of the day, you get to choose which classes you want. So something like a tip advice is just to make sure you know what you can handle and you predict that beforehand to make sure you don't overburn yourself, because that way you can still take classes you enjoy and challenge yourself, but don't like stress yourself out too much. Yeah.
Yeah, so all the stereotypes that I really heard about were that Mission's a stressful environment. But honestly, going into my freshman year, I probably had the best like freshman year, just enjoying my classes, and I got to meet so many more new people. So it's kind of just like how Alicia said it, it's how you make it out to be.
Yeah, I think personally, I've never been an academic type of person. I'm always more on like the humanities and the arts side of things. So I was definitely very, very stressed out when entering Mission. Also, my brother, I heard some scary stuff from him. He's also a very like STEM focused guy. So I think that also perpetuated that like, oh, competitive, everyone's just here for themselves, they're out to get you kind of mindset. But I think just finding class, not being stressed, not like feeling pressured to choose classes because of your parents or because of your peers. I know parents is a hard one to get around, but definitely not feeling stressed to take honors classes or that kind of stuff just because you want to seem smart or that kind of thing, because different people excel on different things. And if you take a class you're not ready for and you end up like failing it or something, that would just like hurt yourself and hurt your like mental health more, because you're always the first priority. So you have to make sure to take care of yourself before anything. And yeah, so just like don't be scared. I know it's already been a few months into school also, so I hope all of your teachers are good, and I hope you know that you can always reach out to the counselors, to peer resource, all these organizations, and it'll help you. Okay, and our last question for now in this subcategory is, what is homecoming and multicultural, and can you guys share a memory from it?
Yeah, so I'll intro with what homecoming is and multicultural week. So these are the two biggest social events of the year. And in normal terms, this is what would happen. So homecoming, I'll start off with homecoming. Homecoming usually happens around the fall. And what happens is each class has a theme based on usually a movie, and they each have different colors. So freshmen are blue, sophomores are yellow, juniors are black, and seniors are red. And so, for example, the senior theme this year was Mario Brothers. And so basically this whole event is where we have that theme, and then classes build a whole performance composed of skits, dances, what else? A lot of different performances based on what they want pertaining to their class. And so in normal terms, we would all gather at the amphitheater and we'd have all these huge performances where it's almost like a class competition, but we are trying to celebrate unity. And so it is, in other schools, homecoming is mostly with the football team, but our homecoming is kind of celebrating each other and celebrating our classes. And it's a great time to just scream and have fun in a place that's a little bit stressful. This year, homecoming is online, so it cannot be in person. It won't be in the same platform, but we are still trying to keep that spirit up and maintain involvement. And then Multicultural Week is a little bit later in the year, around the springtime. And this is just kind of, as the name says, it's celebrating the diversity of our student body. And again, it's more of all classes are involved in one performance, and they have different performances based on different cultures. And it's really just a time to celebrate the diversity of our student body and kind of have some fun during the springtime. And the big thing about multicultural that everybody loves is that we get extended lunch, and this is where clubs are able to fundraise. And so each of them can sell different food items, and you can go and have a buffet with like cotton candy at one station, boba at another station. It's just super fun. This year, it's still up in the air because of COVID, and but HCMC is still trying to find plans for it and still have a good time. But yeah, and then I'll just share a quick memory. I think the best memory for me, okay, advice, participate. Even if you think that, oh, I've never danced before, oh, I've never done martial arts before, join. You will regret it. I regret not doing homecoming in my freshman year, but it is literally the best way to meet people. You get out of class a little early, and it's just a super fun time to really connect with people and perform. And yeah.
Yeah, so since I'm a sophomore this year, I don't have much experience with either homecoming or multicultural week because I've only been to one homecoming week, and I didn't have multicultural week last year because of COVID. But for my experience with homecoming, I think that like Asia said, it's really important to get involved, because I remember I was part of DECO in my freshman year, and that was genuinely a really fun experience because you get to meet so many upperclassmen who will try and help you and guide you, and you also get to have an all-nighter. So I think that if we do go back to in-person school, I think joining DECO for homecoming would be a really fun way to just make your summer more interesting and to make your school year more interesting. But yeah, when people say that homecoming week is one of the most fun weeks of school, that really is not an understatement, because you really get to see how passionate people are about bringing joy to the student body.
Okay, I just want to reiterate one thing that Asia said, is that don't hesitate to participate. And even if you're not on stage participating, don't hesitate to participate when you're in the audience. So if someone calls out the class chant, call it out with them, because no one's just gonna listen to you. You're not gonna be embarrassed. It's just very high energy, super fun, and just try to participate as much as you can, even if you're not on stage.
Okay, so I guess I'll go right now. So I think I've been pretty involved in homecoming ever since my freshman year. I think it was my time to really shine because I'm a dancer, and that's all I really knew how to do. I guess I was scared to go into mission, like I said before, because I'm not very academically focused and stuff. So this is like really a place for me. I felt really comfortable. It was super stressful. I had no idea what was going on my freshman year, but I think it was all like very worth it. There was like all-nighters before to like blow up like hundreds of balloons, and you would go to school early in the morning to set everything up, and just like the feeling and being on stage and performing, it's one of like the most magical things ever. Just like I don't know. I remember junior year, I'm in the tech committee for L2, and we kind of do the music and all that stuff. I think it's just such good vibes all the time. It gets super stressful and people get like frustrated and angry, all that stuff. But overall, it's really just like everyone's supporting each other, even though it's a competition between the classes, everyone's just cheering each other on and all this stuff. And I think it's just good vibes, and everyone participates, even if you're not like involved at school. Everyone just goes to sit down at the amphitheater, and we have a lot of fun, and there's amazing performances by such talented people. And yeah, one more thing that I'm not sure Asia mentioned, but is the homecoming extravaganza. It's like something that happens at the end of homecoming week, stuff like homecoming court, which basically we have a king, queen, knight, and jester. You can run only if you're a senior, and the whole school votes on it. And it's kind of like our version of prom king, prom queen, because we don't really do that. But yeah, I think just going there was a lot of like food trucks and other stuff. Yeah, I know that eventually you guys will have a homecoming, all you freshmen. So hold on hope, and yeah, when time comes, make sure you get involved. And it's a lot of fun, so don't hesitate. And yeah, does anyone else have anything to add?
I'll add on to that. So from my personal experience, I experienced homecoming and multicultural week. So as a freshman during homecoming, I was in K-pop air band, and from my experience, I feel like me and the air band, I made a lot more friends, and it kind of felt like a family. And then at the actual performance, it was honestly like probably the best week at Mission, in my opinion. Like just like the music playing and then people cheering and then singing along to the lyrics is just like a good feeling, and you're getting away from all the stress. And especially in multicultural week, definitely try out. I remember like trying out for Bollywood Airband, thinking I wouldn't get in, but then I got in. And I started talking to a lot more upperclassmen in Bollywood Airband. So from my experience, it's definitely worth it. You'll definitely make more friends, and it's gonna be like when you guys have multicultural week, I feel like you guys will definitely love it.
Does anyone else have anything to add on for this question?
I can add on. From my own personal experience, I remember getting dropped off at the Horseshoe and seeing like all the balloons and all the decorations. And it was kind of crazy to me just to see like how we all work together to like do this. And then during lunch, seeing all the dances, it kind of motivated to try out for air bands for sophomore year and junior year. And it's just such a fun experience because I honestly got to love to dance through homecoming.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to our next category, which is specific classes. This is stuff like you'll be able to choose your classes. I'm not sure how it'll work this year, but in the beginning of like second semester around March, I think, and you can just choose like which electives you want to take and all that stuff. So right now, we're going to talk about what are some student-run resources available to freshmen, and yeah.
Okay, so there are a lot of student-run resources. I think what I want to talk about is the way you can find these out is especially through Facebook. That is one of the biggest resources you can use, especially as a freshman. At first, my freshman year, I barely used it. I didn't know about any organizations on campus or like, and clubs were like, I'd only see posters around school. And now that you guys don't even have, like, you can't go on campus, Facebook is going to be one of the biggest things you will use to especially find these resources. Right now, I know a lot of freshmen already that have are part of Writer's Block, which is a really big help. A lot of people are involved in our peer mentor program. So the way you sign up for those things are all through Facebook almost all the time. Look out for your emails. Yeah.
And then I'll talk about one that's up and coming and everyone's trying to adapt to it, but clubs. If any of you want to join clubs, the Mission Connected app, actually made by a student at MSJ, is super important. Any questions that you or your parents send through Loop Mail to Mr. B, he'll always send you to Mission Connected. And this is an app that you can download on the App Store. And this is where you'll get most of your club information. And so really, if you have any questions about clubs, that should be your hub next to Facebook and Mission Connected for clubs. Try to have both. It'll help you find, it has all the lists of clubs on there. And then when you click on the club, you can see all the information based on some of their meetings, based on what each club does. So that's really going to be super important this year, especially since clubs can really only pub through Facebook, Instagram, and Mission Connected. So that's super important for the club. That's a super important student-run resource for clubs this year.
Another thing to mention is I think a big part of it is you should try asking your teachers, because even though these are student-run clubs, they still have to be advised by a teacher. So if you're like struggling in a class or you feel like you need help in one subject, like the teachers also know about these clubs. I remember like in my English classes, I got recommended to Writer's Block and it really helped a lot. So just don't try asking try asking like anyone you know.
Yeah, so and other resources, they're like such as STEM Success. It's basically like if you're struggling in any subject, for example, like pre-calc or freshman like geometry, algebra 2, or like biology, you can sign up like through Facebook, as Dia said, and they will pair you up with someone who signed up to be a tutor, and you can also have Writer's Block, as Malia said. It's basically like, I think it was Thursdays before it was during lunch, or and they basically like they can edit your essays and give you suggestions on writing.
Noah, do you want to go, or did we? Yes. Okay. Samia, can you go?
Okay, so I think we kind of covered a lot of the core resources that are there. So I want to talk about like one experience I had. This is regarding Writer's Block, which we talked about. Honestly, freshman year, I was just super like, I did not want to get any help at all academically. Like writing, I had Miss Walder, and she's pretty tough, great, one of my most favorite teachers, because she's the one who encouraged me. She runs Writer's Block, and she encouraged me. I was having difficulty with a couple of writing assignments. She encouraged me to go and get help from some upperclassmen at Writer's Block. I was just so scared. The thought just terrified me. But when I went there, like they were so nice and like not like critical at all. They were just doing it like for the pure purpose of helping out. So honestly, I think this goes back to like interacting with upperclassmen. That also sort of eased my my preconception that upperclassmen are scary. So just go out there and try to get involved in these organizations if you do need the help, and they'll honestly provide it to you. So I think that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think something I want to mention is the peer mentor program. Link Crew is actually part of Peer Resource, so we have a lot of ins. It basically focuses on mental health mission, even though there's a lot of stereotypes and a lot of them aren't true. I think a lot of it can get very stressful and overwhelming, especially during COVID. So if distance learning is difficult for you, there's a lot of resources for Peer Resource. You can go on our Facebook page and sign up for like a buddy. You can get paired up with someone from Peer Resource and have like meetings and just to check in. It's not like a therapist or anything. It's just like someone to make sure you have a friend and someone to talk to. And it's really nice just having someone there, you know, that's always going to be there at the specific time every week. It's really comforting to know. So yeah, if you feel like you need help, there's also always school resources. I know all the counselors have virtual office hours, and all the office staff, Mr. Evans, Ms. Nightingale, all of them are always open to like emails. They answer pretty fast. I think so anything you need, and don't be afraid to reach out to your teachers if you need extra time on an assignment or that kind of stuff. as long as you don't do it like last minute, I'm sure a lot of them are willing to help out and they only want the best for you. That's why they became a teacher. So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out for stuff like that. Okay, our next question are, what are some good study tips for humanities classes? For example, history, English, etc.
Okay, I know I mentioned this earlier, but asking your teachers for help, that's also a really good tip, because especially for classes like English, a lot of them are kind of based on your teacher's opinions and your teacher's like recommendations on the writings and stuff like that. So that's one. And then I also think taking notes in those classes is especially important because everything is based off of what your teacher is saying. Like all your essays and like things you get are based off of what your teachers are saying. So not taking notes can be a major setback in those classes, and I would really recommend doing that.
Yeah, and then for me, I think one resource, well, this is more for all classes, but I think in these classes that are so discussion based, having some people like a chat or a friend who's also in the class with you is super helpful. Whenever you have questions, if you don't want to reach out to the teacher, you can reach out to friends and maybe they listened a little bit more than you did, or they have other tips and other perspectives of the concepts that you're learning. So I think having a little study group or a study buddy for all these classes, but especially for humanities, is pretty important.
Yeah, I also kind of want to add on to what Dia said about taking notes, because I think especially for humanities classes like history and English, especially if it's like a big test, I think taking notes is honestly one of the most important things that you can do. Because whenever I have like a history test or an English test on specific chapters in the book, like I'll just like set out specific days that I'll be going over like which sections, and then I will take like a bunch of notes on it. Just like take notes on whatever you can, because honestly teachers like to test you a lot on like the like little details that are kind of insignificant. So I feel like yeah, taking notes is definitely a very big advantage.
Okay, so apart from taking notes, obviously paying attention in class is very important. And also specifically for English and like APUSH, if you have to write a lot of essays, I'd say going to your peers for peer editing is really helpful, because honestly, if you're the only one reading your essays or work, it might sort of get a bit boring, I guess, for yourself. And also, it's going to be difficult for you to find mistakes in your own work. So peer editing definitely really helped me personally. And I think it's something that a lot of teachers also suggest.
I think another good thing to do is to try to participate in class a lot, because if you are focused and you're listening, you can try to see like right away, like if you're going in the right direction, and like just participating in class gives you like more confidence about what you're doing and helps you discuss with your peers more. And also like it goes back to like what we were saying, like in our previous questions, like reach out to like upperclassmen for advice. And we have a bunch of student-run organizations on campus, and just use all the resources around you.
What I find helpful is like taking notes, definitely, especially in history. Like this year, I had Mr. Bellotti, and then he taught us to take notes like as like an outline, and it definitely helps because you're not writing everything down, because that's gonna take so much time. You're just writing like the important key terms down, and you're kind of like having a memory of like what you read, and that's definitely really helpful. And for English, peer editing, that's probably the most important ones. Asking upperclassmen to edit your essay, or just like simply asking your teacher. Try to like discuss with your English teacher if you have time, like during office hours, or stay after class and discuss some ideas you have with them, and they're always like willing to help.
So for English, so I'm definitely more of an active reader. Like I have to write stuff down as I read. So basically my English teacher this year, Miss Caratini, she really emphasizes on annotations. So I definitely feel like the annotating really helped in my part, like from 7th grade to like 10th grade. I never really got a deep like understanding of the book until I actually started annotating. And I feel like I really liked English a lot more this year because I really understand the book a lot more. So definitely do annotating, even though it looks super tiring and exhausting, still do it. It's worth it. And you're going to be thankful you ever did it. For history, I definitely feel like taking notes is a big part, but definitely review your notes consistently. So review it probably like 3 to 4 times a week. And then I'd say 3 nights before the history test, definitely write down this, like go through your notes and write down the stuff that you can't remember and just keep reading off those notes that you couldn't remember. And don't overstudy because you're just going to overthink everything from my personal experience.
I think one thing that I have to add on to that, reviewing your notes, one thing that I like to do is something called like active recall. So instead of just like rereading it, like what Noah said, like rewriting it, like the information that you don't know. But also one tool that I started using in high school a lot is Quizlet. Or even if you guys are more of like you like want to write it down because that's like shown to help memory, you can just make flashcards. Like honestly, that's the best way to review terms. I'm not a history person, but I saw my history grades improving when I started using a Quizlet and flashcards. And for English, also the same thing. When you have tests, I know English tests, they always test on like those little details for some reason that like you didn't really think was important to the plot. So maybe writing down, or and also on like characters and stuff. So you can write down the characters, like their like character traits, stuff like that on the back of the flashcard and Quizlet. And that's honestly like the best tip I can give for studying for these tests.
Yeah, so I feel like also, I'm not sure if this was mentioned earlier, but on the point of participating in class, make sure that if you ever have any questions for anything, don't be afraid to ask because we're all here to learn. That's why we're in school. So trust me, you're not going to look stupid. In fact, it'll really help you to also build that relationship with your teachers. And also, I want to mention, make sure you don't limit yourself to thinking, oh, school is the only resource you have, especially now that we're online. If you ever have any questions, don't be afraid to like do a quick Google search. I know there's like resources like Khan Academy and other places online where you can find places to learn about what you're struggling with. And there's also great like online analysis for stuff on English classes. And lastly, I want to mention, especially for English classes or things with like writing assignments, always make sure to just plan extra time because I've had like so many instances where I feel like the work I turned in wasn't my best effort. And that's like the worst feeling you could possibly have. So just always make sure that you turn in what you've done your best on and like you plan ahead accordingly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what everyone has said. And something I want to touch upon, one of the things that Noah brought up is like annotations for English. English has always been like my favorite class. I love analysis and like discussion and that kind of stuff. So I just want to say, if you don't enjoy that sort of stuff, don't like be discouraged. I know everyone is different. Some people like STEM a lot, some people like humanities. If annotating doesn't work for you, then don't get discouraged because of that. I know personally for like me and Karatini last year, I had the same experience as Noah. I really like enjoyed and had like a good like deep reading of the book. But yeah, just make sure you just experiment with different things. I know for notes, sometimes it's very helpful in humanities to take notes, especially if you make them like look pretty. It makes you want to study off of them, but also be careful of that. Make sure you're not like just writing it down and then not absorbing any of the information. So make sure you like take good notes and actually study off of them later because that'll be super helpful. And yeah, just make sure if you're struggling, reach out to your teachers. So many people are here to help you. Don't feel like you're alone. And yeah, so okay, next is clubs. We have a question that is, what is a reasonable amount of clubs to be in and how can you get involved? Okay, does anyone want to kick that off?
Okay. Honestly, I don't know if there is a real answer for this. I think whatever the answer would be like, whatever you are comfortable with. I know a lot of times people say that you should join a club so you could like participate in school and stuff, but there's a lot of things that aren't clubs and like different things you can participate in, like how we said earlier, like homecoming and multicultural week. Those aren't clubs, but that's still you participating in school. I wouldn't say you should join a club just because all your friends are joining it. I think what you should do is, if there's a club that you are interested in and that pertains to your interests, join it, get involved. One advice I'd give if you're in a club is to not like slack in the club. If you're not going to put in your full effort, there's no reason to be in that club. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and then for me, I really got involved in clubs after my sophomore year, and I really didn't know anything about clubs freshman year, and I kind of regret it. I absolutely love the clubs I'm part of. I mean, I'm a part of about 3 right now, and it's the best thing. Honestly, I love taking part in clubs because it's a good step away from the classroom, and I can get involved in things that I absolutely am so passionate about. And I feel like my biggest advice is, well, going off of Dia's point, just because like all your friends are joining these clubs doesn't mean that you have to. There's so many clubs on campus. Like really try to find something that you're super passionate about and like run with it. You're gonna get so many opportunities, and it's just been such a great experience. Definitely though, make sure you can balance your time, because if you really want to commit yourself, they do require a ton of commitment. And I feel like if you're super passionate about it, go for it. And yeah, there's so many options on campus. So if that's something that you're interested in, take advantage of it, because it's great experiences come from it.
Yeah, I feel like being a part of a club can be a very enriching experience like for your high school career, because clubs like they have so much to offer you. Like for example, you can get a lot of like good and valuable leadership and teamwork experience from being like an officer of a club. And I think it's really good that like whoever asked this question wants to be more involved with clubs, because I feel like that's a very like convenient and like simple way to get involved on campus is like to just like be a club member or be a club officer. And I think like a reasonable amount of clubs to be in definitely depends on your interests. But I think it would probably be best to like when you first get into high school, or if you're first looking into clubs, like just join like whatever you want to and like find what you're interested in. And then later on, it's like you can narrow down those choices and like focus more on like maybe like 1 or 2 clubs that you're really passionate about. And like in order to get involved in clubs, I would say you could just like easily follow them on Instagram or just join their Facebook group, and also like try and get to know the officer team better, because that can be very useful. And yeah, you just like also attend events and be active like on their social media pages. But yeah, that's basically it.
So I think the main way that people get involved in clubs is on Maze Day, because on Maze Day there's a bunch of booths where lots of clubs just set up posters about themselves, and they've got club members, club officers over there talking about what their club is. And a lot of people also get to sign up over there. And so I think that's where I signed up for most of the clubs that I'm still a part of. And I'd say that's really important. So we did not have that this year because Maze Day obviously wasn't in person. So I think the next best way to get involved would obviously be to look for their posts. And I think on School Loop on the very right side, there's a little events page where club officers can post about upcoming club meetings or club events. And you can always click on those to get to know about upcoming club events.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is to just join the clubs that you're passionate about. Like, don't join clubs that everyone else is joining just to join, or like for seniors, like for college apps and stuff like that. But I think that you definitely should try to go to all the clubs like first meetings and try to find like which ones suit you the best, and then just go from there.
Okay, so I think for clubs, I think this was already mentioned before, but I'll briefly go over it. You should try like your freshman year. I don't know, like for me personally, I had no clue what I wanted to do, like what I prefer, like maybe wanted to major in, so to speak, in college. Like, I didn't know anything. I just knew that I liked STEM, so I just joined like a bunch of clubs, like just but like I just like went to their meetings and sort of got like an idea of what the clubs are about, and maybe start focusing on like 1 or 2, 3, like a small number of clubs later on when you sort of develop those interests. And but don't be like sort of phase that you don't know where your interests are in high school. And I think that's what the clubs really are for, especially like we have a lot of STEM clubs. That's what really they help kind of determining where you want to go. And yeah, like just try to join the clubs that you're interested in. I remember I just went to meetings for I know a lot of people go for the food. I went for the food. I mean, it's okay. Now we can't really do that. There's no food. But also I went because a lot of my friends would like in groups you would go, but later on you kind of have to branch off at some point, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, bouncing off of what Samya said, I just really want to emphasize, especially in your freshman year, don't be afraid to join any club. In fact, I would encourage you to join as many clubs as you can in your freshman year, just to explore and reach out and really dabble on what you find interesting, and kind of then later hone in on something that you're really interested. And then once you find like kind of your niche and what you really resonates with you, I feel like it's really worth it for you to invest your time into a specific club and try to like dedicate yourself to go to all the events and support them, because I feel like not only do you get like that experience by getting to meet new people, networking. Some clubs even have different like districts with other schools and like around our Bay Area, but you also get like a really valuable leadership experience that you can't really get like outside of school. Yeah.
Definitely that there's really no reason to, like, you can join as many clubs as you want, and tackling off of what everyone said, like join clubs that you're interested in, and even if your friends are doing a different club, that's okay, because you're doing something that you're interested in and that you want to pursue even further.
Definitely know what's right for you. If you're taking heavy like academic classes, don't join as many clubs. If you're doing like kind of a light load, then it'll be okay to join some more clubs and get more involved in that aspect of school. But just like making sure, if you want to join a lot of clubs, don't dip your feet in like too much. Make sure that there's a way for you to like back out if you do a lot of like stuff, or just maybe join like one at a time so you can like slowly join more as like school goes on. Personally, I'm only involved in one club, and that's like the dance club on campus. I think something like that, it's really fun. We don't have like finding clubs like this, we don't really have a set group of members. It's kind of just we hold meetings, and then whoever wants to come can come whenever. Maybe something like that. Just trying out new stuff. A lot of clubs to do, like there's a lot of STEM clubs, there's a lot of humanities clubs, there's a lot of like service clubs, like a lot of those, and those get like really involved. I know Key Club, Interact, those are some really great clubs who are like super active and very involved in just the community in general. And definitely if you're thinking of going into more like an officer position for these clubs, be prepared for a lot of work. So don't do it if you think you're gonna like, if you can't handle it, because once again, your health, mental and physical, always come first. Don't overload yourself because you still have school stuff to do. And yeah. Anyone else have anything else to say?
I just want to add one thing. I know I kind of already mentioned this a little bit, but like JJ, you said you're part of only one club, but in school she's also part of, still praising you a little bit, JJ, she's also part of Peer Resource, and she's officer of Link Crew, and she's in L2. So she is really involved in the school as well. So there are different ways to get involved other than just being a part of these clubs. And like JJ likes to do L2 and she likes to do Peer Resource. She joined it for a specific reason. She didn't just join it because everybody's joining it. Trust me, nobody wants to wake up at 7 a.m. for an extra class in Peer Resource, but we do it because we want to do it. So I'm just saying there's other ways to get involved on campus if that's what you want to do other than clubs, just to, I don't know, boost college apps.
Yeah. Also adding on to what Dia said, some organizations on campus that aren't necessarily clubs, that are like kind of classes. There's Peer Resource, which she already mentioned, which is a 0 period. There's Link Crew, which is this right here. There's also like the school newspapers, Smoke Signal. What other stuff? There's like a lot of band classes, marching band, which is a 7th period. And yeah, I think, is there anything else anyone can think of? It's like not necessarily a club.
Leadership too, but
yeah, leadership is a really good place to start. That's like the kind of the class that puts on like homecoming and all these events. There's a lot of like community drive, stuff like that. So there's most of these stuff you have to interview and apply to get in, which is a bit harder than most clubs, but I think a lot of it's really worth it. Again, this just like shows that there's so many ways to get involved, and everything is super fun. And if you find what you're interested in, you can really have a really wonderful high school experience. So if you're still scared about mission and getting involved and stuff, don't worry, you got this. Okay, we have 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we're gonna have live questions, and then we're gonna go into wrapping it up. So my last question is, what is one thing you wish you knew as a freshman?
Okay, one thing I wish I knew, okay, I guess this is one thing I wish I didn't do as a freshman. I knew a lot of time, like I'd hear all these upperclassmen doing all these clubs and activities and stuff like that. and even like my peers were doing, involving themselves in so many things, and I felt like, oh, I'm not doing anything. So I started just over involving myself in so many things that I didn't need to be a part of or like had no interest in. So I think something I wish I knew in freshman year was to just do the things I wanted to do instead of just going by what everyone else was doing, which is kind of basic, but it's something to remember.
Okay, and then this is a little basic too, but I'm still going to say it because you think that, you're starting your freshman year, you're like, oh, it's going to go by pretty slow. I have 4 years, but I'm telling you, it goes by so fast. Like, I feel like just yesterday I was walking into my first maze day of as a freshman. And one thing that I really wish that I would have prioritized is making connections with people. Don't stay in your room and study 24/7. You are going to do amazing no matter if you study for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Make the time to spend with your friends because once you become a senior, you're like, wow, I'm really counting the days until we all go our separate ways and, we see what each other will do in life. So take the time to spend with your friends and your family and for yourself. School is not everything. And there's so much more. This is a life experience and you should really take advantage of it. So yeah, just have fun.
I think one thing I wish I knew, like as a freshman, or like something I would like want to tell freshmen is like, if you want to like do something, then just honestly just do it. Because like there's no point in being scared of doing something because you only have 4 years of high school. And I know like that seems like a really long time at the beginning, but that's really like a short amount of time to be in one place. So if there's like a chance you want to take, but like you're kind of hesitant or like you're too scared, then honestly just do it and like embrace it and like just be brave. And also maybe like I kind of wish that I didn't take things like too seriously. I feel like maybe I should have like relaxed a little bit more because I was just a freshman. But yeah, that's just like my view.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You can go.
yeah, sorry. I guess I can go. So for me, my thing is that like I feel like I shouldn't have waited. I honestly thought that 4 years was really long. I'm gonna do everything social my senior year, whether that's going to homecoming, winter ball, like prom. Everything's gonna happen my senior year. And then guess what? It's like not happening. I literally joined my first air band this year. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get involved, right? And it didn't happen. So just if you want to do it, like I know some people don't really like the social atmosphere, but if you ever want to do it, just do it then. Like just participate honestly, because you don't know what's gonna happen in the future. So take your chances, just do it. Literally go with that mentality. And yeah, that's just my piece of advice.
Okay, I'll go. So I'll say, like, since you guys said everything about like participating, I'll talk about studying more. Just don't procrastinate. I guess that's like the biggest problem that I didn't know. Like in freshman year, I kind of just like, cause now that all the deadlines they're kind of due, the teachers don't assign work that's due the next day. They're usually due in like 2-3 days or like weeks. And do not wait until the last day and don't overload yourself. Yeah, you don't need to take like 4 or 5 APs in junior year, and especially in freshman year, just like try to enjoy, because yeah, just participate in like homecoming, multicultural week, and it would just be really fun. Go to like winter ball and things like that.
Yeah, okay. So we have a couple live questions, so we end in about 4 minutes. We're probably gonna go a bit over, but we're just gonna try to get through these. So the first one we have is what are some of the more enjoyable / rewarding classes that you've taken?
Okay. I think one of the most enjoyable classes I've taken was honors English in my sophomore year. I feel like kind of saying, going against what I said in the earlier question, like a lot of my friends were like, oh, I'm not going to be an English major, so there's no point in taking honors English the next year. And I wasn't planning on being an English major either, but I still liked English, so I still participated in it and I really enjoyed it. And I think JJ mentioned it a couple times too, like even if it's not something you normally like doing, or like, I don't know, just something that's not a part of your future plans, that doesn't mean you should hold yourself back or whatever. And I'm glad I didn't, because I'm still in AP Lit now and I still love the classes.
Okay, then I'll go. So my favorite class is probably anatomy and physiology. I love the sciences, and this was a really good class if you're interested in the medical field or just science in general. This is such a fun class. Shout out to Miss Ware, she's like the best. But this is a super fun class to get involved, and it's really fun. I met really close friends through it, and yeah.
Okay, I'll go. So I think the most rewarding class I've ever taken is definitely Leadership 2. You have to apply your sophomore year if you want to get in for junior year, and your junior year if you want to get in for senior year. And I just think that there's a lot to do like on campus. It's the people who put on like homecoming, like Asia here is part of our homecoming multicultural committee, and you just plan all that stuff. There's a community committee where we do like canned food drives and the blood drives when we could do them. And I think there's just so much to do. If you've seen like the Among Us tournaments and that kind of stuff on campus, that's all part of our Leadership 2 class. So that's something to really get involved on. I think I've met some of my best friends, even if they've graduated. I think they're so close to me, and it's just some of the most like amazing people ever. So definitely just get involved through anything, Smoke Signal, all that stuff. You meet some like just truly amazing people that you can know for a lifetime. So yeah. Let's see. Our next question is, what are sports I can join with no previous experience / sports that don't cut people?
I think you can just try out. I don't know of any sports that don't cut anybody. I think it just depends on your work ethic and stuff like that. I think you should just try out. It shouldn't matter if you're gonna get cut at the okay. Sorry, somebody just told me that track and XC cross country don't cut. So you can join that one. But I think even don't be scared if you're gonna get cut. Just try out. It'll be a fun experience. Even trying out is fun. So yeah.
Does anyone else want to talk about sports? I'm not really involved.
I think so. From personal experience, like I wasn't a track person at all. I didn't even like running that much. And so joining track, it was actually like a really fun experience, and I had no prior experience to it, so definitely join.
Okay, and does anyone else have anything? If not, we'll move on to our next live question, which is, what's the process to start a club if there's not too many I'm interested in? So I think I can start off with this one. Starting a club is kind of a tedious process because it's something, if we have too many clubs on campus, it gets kind of like inflated, I guess. So it's pretty difficult. Basically, you have to message the ASB vice president who is in charge of all the clubs. You have to email. You get like a form where you have to get a bunch of signatures. In COVID, I know it's just a Google form you have people fill out. You put like your initials and your first period teacher. And then if it gets approved, basically you have to present at council, which is a meeting every Wednesday during office hours, where basically you go through, you just have to present your club, your mission, and how it'll contribute like to the MSJ community. It's really hard, or it's really stressful, like presenting, and it's pretty hard to get past. So I think that like prevents a lot of people who are just doing it for college apps or stuff like that. So if you're not very interested in this and really want to make a difference, I say don't do it. Maybe find a club where you feel like you can contribute more as a member and not necessarily as a founder. But if you really have a vision and no clubs on campus really fit that vision, definitely go for it. And yeah, you got this. Okay. Is there anyone else want to say anything about that?
I think like from a perspective, like I've presented at council before for a club, and honestly, as long as I think like as long as your club has like a very clear mission, and as long as like you know what you're doing and you have good people that are presenting with you, I think like it'll be fine. Like it wasn't that bad. So if you want to start a club, you should go for it.
Okay. Another question do you recommend self-studying for AP tests since underclassmen can't take APs? Anyone want to take this one?
I can take this one. So I think that our school, if you are like looking at STEM classes, we have a lot of them, and you can honestly take them. But if there's some class that's not offered at our school, like I know a lot of people take like the economics, like microeconomics, macro. Then I say that if you think that your like course load is not that heavy, maybe your freshman or sophomore year, then go for it because honestly, those classes are pretty useful, especially if you want to do like data science, economics, something like that. But if it's something like, I don't know, let's say chemistry, I think that you would rather take the class maybe because if in college you want to do chemistry, it'll be better if you take the class, you'll get a core like understanding of stuff like that. So I think it just depends on the AP. So
Yeah, kind of adding on to what Samya said, I also know from like personal experience, if you want to self-study, something that really helped me was finding like a study buddy to keep myself accountable. Because I know sometimes when you self-study, it's like, oh, I can just do it tomorrow, and you start to like lose track of what you're doing. So to have someone to kind of study with you really helps you to like make sure you stay on track and don't fall behind. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I will add a bit on. I think I've never self-studied for an AP test, but I've taken an AP class, and I know it definitely depends on the subject, but it can be a lot of work. This is a college course, so I know if you feel like you can handle it, definitely go for it and you want to do it. If it's something you're genuinely interested in and like kind of in the field you think you want to pursue, it definitely helps to get those credits early. But I think especially at Mission, there's a lot of parental pressure for students to like overload themselves with APs or take like 4 APs and self-study 2 at home. That's just very unreasonable, and it will harm your mental health and your physical health, and that's just like we do not want that. So I think definitely just know your limits. If it's something you really are passionate about, you can go for it, but make sure you don't push yourself too hard because that can just like it can really mess with all aspects in your life. And it's sometimes if you're too overloaded on schoolwork, it's kind of hard to come back from it. So just make sure you know your limits. You would rather go not too far, but take it slow and add on slowly. So yeah. And I think the last question we're going to go through, it's one of the live questions, is what are some time management tips you have developed during your time at Mission that you recommend?
Dia, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Mine is kind of short. So I think one thing that's really helped me all throughout high school is keeping a planner. That's just something that everybody tells you should do, and then nobody does it. And I didn't do it either. And then I just couldn't keep track. I was forgetting assignments. I was forgetting to study for tests and stuff like that, just because, I don't know, high school is overwhelming. But keeping a planner, at least everything is written down in one place. And you can do that like with anything. You can write it in notes in your phone or like reminders and things like that. It doesn't have to be some planner you're carrying around everywhere, but that really helped me throughout high school.
Yeah. And then for me, I feel like it's just setting little goals for yourself. Like even if you have 10 assignments to do, like don't overwhelm yourself. Don't be overwhelmed. This is more of a mental thing that I'm still struggling to develop, but I think I'm getting better with it. But just set little goals for yourself and kind of go through the day one step at a time. Don't stress yourself out. If you get too stressed, you won't be able to focus. Psychology, learn that in psychology. But it's very good. Make sure that you set little goals for yourself. And yeah, just like Dia said, planners are super helpful.
Going off of what Asia said, definitely use a planner and definitely organize like your assignments like between like what days they're due, and then definitely like split it up between different days, and don't push off things to the last minute. Teacher doesn't really tell you when the homework's due until like 2 days before the test. He makes you do these outlines, and then they're usually like on the entire unit. And one time I pushed it off until the very end, like I was underestimating how long the unit would be, and then I ended up not doing the outlines until like 2 nights before, so I had to outline like 30 pages in 2 nights. So definitely stay on top of your work.
So adding on, one thing that I really like to do is I've got this app and it's called Flora. So it helps you stay off your phone. And what you do on it is when you're studying, you kind of start the app and it lets you grow little trees. And if you use your phone, then your tree dies. So that really helps me stay motivated to study, and also it helps me be more productive.
Also, lastly, definitely turn your phone like fully off, because if your phone is just like on silent, you're gonna be more prone to like going on it. And then if your phone's off, then we're gonna be like, oh, I can't turn it on, whatever. So yeah, that's just my tip.
Yeah, and also I was gonna mention the same thing as Rishika, the Flora app, because you're growing a little tree, and if you actually go on your phone, you kill the tree, and it just makes me really sad to do that. So I definitely like stay off my phone, and it's just really helpful because you don't want to kill your tree, and you can like find new plants. It's just a good app, so get it. And yeah, does anyone have anything else, or we'll move to our very last question?
Adding on to the app, you can also have like friends, so you can see your friends' activity. So yeah, that helps you to get motivated to beat them and get more coins in them. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. And finally, our last question is going to be, what's one piece of advice you would give to a freshman right now?
Okay, I think I know like during online school a lot, sometimes we tend to lose motivation and stuff, but you guys will eventually be back to school. Your life is still going on, it's still continuing, so don't lose motivation throughout online school.
One thing for me, I feel like it's super hard as a freshman to make friends right now, especially on we're online school. You can't just like put in the Zoom chat, hey guys, here's my Instagram, whatever. But don't be afraid to reach out to people. Like, it's so much better to do Zoom school when you have people to talk to. And don't be afraid to reach out just because maybe you have to send one extra text that you didn't want to. You're not going to regret it. You're going to meet some great friends. And yeah, don't forget to socialize, and mental health is the most important thing.
Yeah, so I think the advice that I would give to a freshman like now, like a freshman that's like living in the pandemic, is definitely like don't try to like miss out on stuff just because it's online, because there's still like so many ways you can get involved with school and like with different organizations by interacting with like pages online and attending like online events. So I think like that's something that you guys should definitely do. And also one thing like about academics is that I feel like online school is just completely different from how school is in person, like especially academics wise. So you want to make sure like you focus on your studies a lot, and like you don't like kind of just like brush it off, because once you go back to in-person school, like it's going to be very different from how it is online, because there's going to be a lot of like stress and pressure, especially when like you have to take these tests in person. So yeah.
One piece of advice that I have is to not hesitate to participate, even though things are online. Like, I know a lot of club meetings have moved to Zoom and a lot of events are virtual now, but don't let that stop you from participating, because it can still be a lot of fun.
Yeah, one thing I would say is take the advice that everyone gives you, but at a certain point, like you have to go through it yourself. Like you can get all the advice in the world, but it'll never match up to like your personal experience. And like, yeah, like of course it's like you can have all the advice and you'll still run into difficulties and hardships, but like, like everyone says, like it's how you like deal with it, how you learn from it, and then you'll be the person giving advice. So just go with the flow.
Emily, do you want to go? Oh, you're muted. Oh, okay. Let's move on to Noah.
This isn't from my personal experience. It's more like what my friends did and they regret doing. So basically, they underestimated freshman year and thought freshman year doesn't matter at all, and they didn't really try in any of their classes. Definitely still try in your classes, because you're gonna have to build off your hard work in sophomore, junior, and senior year. So definitely don't slack off freshman year, or else it's going to build up on you and then it's going to take control over you throughout the rest of high school. So definitely try your best, but still try to have fun and take it easy.
I think my advice would be to just try like all the different things that you possibly want to do. Just try your freshman year because this is a year to make mistakes, but also keep your work ethic in your academics because this is a stepping stone. But just know that this year, if you get like, I know some people like don't want to get any B's in freshman year, but like if you get like one or two, like it's chill. You're gonna improve, show that improvement, and just take risks your freshman year.
Yeah, I feel like also just try to make the most of it because I know things can get stressful education wise, and like people, I know like some people have told me, oh, it only gets worse, things are only gonna get harder. But at the end of the day, like if you talk to seniors and juniors, they'll all tell you like we're going to miss this experience because this is your high school experience and it only happens once in your life. Like when you go to college, even though you're still in school, it's going to be different, right? So just make sure you make the most of it and try to have fun with it. Don't just like only focus on your education. Yeah.
Definitely my advice would just be enjoy every moment of high school. There are going to be times where you're stressed or you're feeling very anxious, but all the other times that you're going to enjoy every single moment, I think that's important and you should cherish those moments.
My advice is similar to Haruka's too, because high school, even though it's 4 years, but it's actually really short. Like I feel like I was a freshman just like 2 days ago, and I'm already an upperclassman. So just enjoy every moment and make the best out of your high school experience.
Yeah, and I think my advice, something that's most important to me, is taking care of yourself. I think high school can be stressful. There's a lot of pressure to do well academically, but also live the high school life that everyone wants. But I think the most important thing to keep in mind is just making sure you set aside time for maybe self-care, time with friends, just something where you're not pressured to do anything. And if you're struggling, reach out to someone for help. You don't have to struggle alone. There's a lot of hardships that come with high school, but you definitely can get through it with help of others and yourself. So yeah, and I think that ends off our live stream. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to our link committee for having this Q&A. You guys are awesome.